evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Monday night live radio here on UCY.TV. You're listening to Boiler Room with me, your host, Jim Funke. And that guy over there that you just heard unclick his mute button, Mr. Lance Musser. Good evening, Lance Musser.
Heidi ho, neighbor.
How's it going, man?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Good. Heard you had a nice, beautiful day sitting at the house today.
I did. Yesterday was, even better. We threw the pork butts on at 6:15 in the morning.
Outstanding.
And at 6:30 at night, we pulled them off, and we did them a little different, injected them with some different stuff. And I'm telling you what, it was the best pull. And we've always made some good pork. Everybody who's put my pork in their mouth has loved it. Everybody who's put my meat in their mouth has loved it. And it was the best we've ever made. So I got a new way of making it. It's coming.
Mm-hmm. Well, good. New recipes. You got to start throwing all that shit up online, man, when you open in the website and everything.
Well, I got Smoke'em's Barbecue on Facebook, and I am going to put all the recipes up there. My barbecue sauce, which is top-notch, and you can customize it however you want with the end ingredients to make it either honey or real hot or Jack Daniels, whatever you'd like to do.
Yummy.
Yeah, so I'm ready. I got. I'm hoping to get that caboose. You saw the picture of the caboose, the food trailer. I'm looking for that concession trailer. It looks just like a caboose, and I think that would attract some attention.
Yes, it would
at any festival.
Yes, it would.
Yes, it would.
Especially since you're cooking pork butt.
Exactly.
The caboose thing.
Yep. The pork
big
caboose.
Ass on top.
Yep, the pork caboose. And we all wear engineer outfits.
There you go.
Funny.
Our meat is engineered to melt in your mouth.
That's right. Yeah, we'll have to get a contest going for the logo.
There you go. Pork Bong Express.
That's right.
All right, man. Speaking of, well, I guess that doesn't really segue into Wall Street too well, but they're cooking our meat. Wah, wah.
Well, you got your soundboard. Where is it? There. I'm sure that
I got it here. It's ready to go. I got
got
something ready for yelling just in case something comes around about her.
Oh, sexy girlfriend!
So here we go.
I think that's my favorite one ever. That's for sure.
Off into Smoke'em's Market Minute.
Yeah, but last I looked at the market, and then I'll look at it again through the blinds. I'm opening up the blinds, looking at the market. Hold on. Yep, it's still being manipulated.
There you go.
It's still being manipulated. Woo-hoo. So there's not even anything to... Greg will cover anything on Wall Street, but some big stuff
that Reno today.
Yeah, that's even better. That ought to make everybody happy.
Whee!
Breaking news at 3:15 this afternoon.
Oh, God.
The EU is moving with
finally
the US.
Collapsed. Oh.
I wish, but more so the UN. But EU moving with US on Russian sanctions, the Obama aide says. The US and the EU will act on stiffer sanctions against Russia as soon as this week, as Vladimir Putin's government is doubling down on its support for the Ukraine rebels, Obama administration officials said. And this is interesting. U.S. President Barack Obama consulted the leaders of France, Germany, Italy, and the UK during a video telephone conference earlier today as the Allies coordinated their response to Russians' actions in the Ukraine.
Yeah, because Barack Obama couldn't be there in person. He's on vacation.
Well, can you imagine these other people all sitting in their room going, "Fuck you, Obama," and I don't even know what accent that was, and you Schweinhaxen from the Germans, and they all hate him. So the puppet world governments, the way that they're all acting, it's just laughable.
Yeah. Yep. It would be laughable if it wasn't leading to the end of the planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody can see the writing on the wall. This is World War III staring us right in the face. And they're trying to do everything they can to achieve that goal.
They are. I mean, they knew that there would never be a total payback of this money that they've borrowed.
Hell no. Why do you think they're spending willy-nilly? We saw that on that video last night, man. And, that's...
And I'll tell you what, obvious. There's a lot of stuff on there. Yeah, and why are they spending, willy-nilly, just like you said? Because they know that there's going to be a global reset, and nobody's going to have to pay back anything.
In 6 years, Barack Obama has spent $10 trillion.
And the only reason you do that is because you're right at the end of the rope. I'm not so sure that
from the beginning of our country until Barack Obama got elected to spend $8 trillion.
Yes.
So, do the math, people. They're spinning us into oblivion because they know they're never going to have to pay it back.
And the world governments know it.
Yeah.
And, the basis of that, there's a couple ways that you could get out of it. The global collapse, EMP, power grid down, solar flare, a planet coming by, disrupting the gravity, causing a pole shift. There's there's a lot of historical evidence. I sure wish we could get a Nibiru expert or something on the air one time.
Get a straight answer about something.
Yeah, just the amount of talking about a straight answer. I hope we get to talk about the Ukraine flight just for a second, because there's a lot of stuff that's just baffling me on that one too. A lot of new news coming out over the last 24, 48 hours.
We'll get through all your stuff, and then we'll do the Watts video, and then we'll jump into that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and despite, back on the Russia thing with their sanctions, despite the Russia has not effectively put pressure on the separatists to force them to negotiate. Every single word, and this is out of Bloomberg, so I don't expect it to be pro-Russian, because they never would be. But every single time that you hear Russia spoken by mainstream media or anything else, it's always in a obviously bad light. Russian separatist backed, Russian-backed separatist rebels. They've always got to say Russian-backed, not just the Ukrainian rebels, just Russian-backed.
Or anti-government,
so they're
Kyiv.
Yeah, so they're doing everything they can all the way around to discredit Russia. You guys have Dollar Tree out there?
Not here, but we did up in Illinois.
Okay, so you know what Dollar Tree is.
Yeah. Everything in the joint is $1.
Right. Ergo the name Dollar Tree.
But they got Dollar General too, and that's misleading.
And what's the other one? Family
Dollar.
Just got bought out for $8.5 billion by Dollar Tree.
No shit.
And Dollar Tree will pay $74.50 a share in cash and stock, 23% above Family Dollar's closing price at the end of last week. The deal has a value of actually $9.2 billion. The purchase transforms the dollar store market and fulfills the ambitions of billionaire investor Carl Icahn and Nelson Peltz, who had acquired major stakes in Family Dollars and pushed for the sale. So it's one of those hostile takeovers. They buy a company and then turn around and
trash it,
sell it, and then sell it. And they made movies about that. I don't remember what the name of it is, but the 2011, and then they finally did get in there. So it'd be interesting. I think they're getting too big, but if that's any indication of the market in America, if you will, more people are shopping at Dollar Tree and Dollar General and Family Dollar
because everything's $1
than ever before. Yes. You can take $10, and yes, you can go get 99-cent items at Walmart, and you can go get 99-cent items at Food Lion or Winn-Dixie or Piggly
and
Wiggly.
They're all made in the same place.
Yeah, exactly. And so Dollar Tree isn't going to be any different. I've shopped in them plenty of times.
More locations. That's what they did. They bought all the locations. But, those are all, everything. I don't think I've ever seen a brick and mortar Family Dollar. I think they're all in strip mall locations. I don't think I've ever seen an individual building bought are built for a Family Dollar to be.
I'm trying to think, and I don't think
They're
so
usually
either.
almost always see them in strip malls. They'll just be one of the storefronts.
True.
I might be wrong there. Because I haven't seen very many of them, but.
No, I'm trying to think. No, I've seen a couple freestanding now that I think about it.
Okay.
Yeah, out in Indiana. There's one right there in my dad's town.
Well, there you go. I mean, if they're buying some actual brick and mortar structures, then I still think when you get into the billions of dollars, that's too big, too large.
Yeah.
But hey, good on those guys.
My last little part of it, if you like fish and you eat fish, and I don't. I've never eaten fish. I like Long John Silver's fish, but I don't care for bass. I'll take fresh
pure Alaskan
bass.
pollock.
Yeah, or catfish. Those are the ones that I'll eat local.
Ooh, man, you'd love to eat here at
myself.
Fred's Fish House, man. Oh, my God, dude. They got a catfish sandwich that's
it. That's it.
And it's local caught out of the lake here.
It doesn't taste like fish, and that's why I like it. If I would like more fish if it didn't taste like fish.
Smallmouth's not really fishy.
No, it's not, nor is largemouth. I mean, it's not breaded right, lemon-made, tartar sauce.
Now, if you like gar or
that's
walleye, or walleye's got a really fit. Well, not so much a fishy taste, but it's very bony and it's got a very different texture to it. But so you don't do any mussels or oysters or no, not seafood.
I do shrimp and crab. I'll do shrimp and crab all day long. In fact, we catch crab right off my dad's dock right there. And you get 3 or 4 of them, 2 or 3 big ones, big jimmies. In fact, there's a lot of soft shell crabs that were swimming. That you can just fry them all up and put them on a sandwich and eat them whole because there's no shell.
Right.
But we take out 2, 3, 4 every couple days. Kill them, take the shell off, dig out the dead man's meat, throw them in the freezer, and then when you got 10 pounds of them, 15 pounds of them, bring them back out for the crab cook.
There you go.
So that's how we're doing it. But if you like salmon, the California Salmon River, there's a number of 300 to 600 juvenile fish, mainly Chinook, salmon, and steelhead, have died. Mounting concerns over further reductions of the species populations as California's drought persists. So they're talking about, how hot it is, how warm the water is. The river is running at 181 cubic feet per second, and it should be at 438 cubic feet per second for the livelihood of these fish. So you're going to see more farm-raised salmon than anything else if you're a salmon eater.
Right.
And we already know about the dangers of the farm-raised salmon. So just be wary if you're a salmon eater.
Yeah, they're trying to kill us all, man. They're trying to kill us all. They're chemtrail. They sprayed the shit out of us for the last 4 or 5 days. I mean, the lines in the sky were just unbelievable. And And so, all that stuff's falling into those farm-raised catfish ponds.
Yeah.
Farm-raised salmon ponds.
Which, I talked about in the rainwater. People that save their water in the rainwater.
Yeah.
I mean, how is it, what's safer? Chemtrail water out of your rain barrel or fluoridated water out of your spigot outside?
I'll do the chemtrail water out of my rain barrel because I'm going to run it through my Berkey. And it might not help at all, but it's going to make me feel a lot better when I'm drinking it. So, but I can turn on my tap here and just drink straight out of my tap here, because it's my water. It's 890 feet below me.
Right, it's well water. There's no fluoride in it.
So I'm good to go. I think. I mean, I imagine there's probably if I took a sample of my water and took it into the university and had them run tests on it, I guarantee you I'm going to find something in it. Just because of everything that's been, everything that's been laid down around here.
Yeah, but
they don't salt the roads or anything.
Yeah, but if it's not near a septic system, wells are.
Well, no, I'm just talking about chemical runoff. I mean, this lake fills off of rivers and shit that are way, way, way north of me. It's the water starts up in hell, I don't know.
So
Iowa
you're saying
somewhere.
That's the water for your public water? or your well?
Yeah, because it goes into the water table and it comes down through here, and then the water table off the lake is what hits that's what creates my well.
I got you.
So I'm pretty sure it does anyway.
I got you.
Anywho, Mother Nature filters out a bunch of shit.
Yeah. And there was one story about Janet Yellen today.
Oh, sexy girlfriend!
But I just wanted to hear that again. We'll talk about it on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
She's lying again, in case you didn't know.
No shit. She's a member of the administration. How original. All right, so you're all done. You got.
I am on that. I have some other interesting stuff. In fact, Gardner Todd had a great one story that I wanted to mention.
It's going to be scary. We're going to read that one later on.
Oh no, I got a good one that he dropped.
Oh,
that one.
Oh, well, cool. Okay, it is Monday, everybody, and that means that Scott got out of bed early and did a video. So here's a little hype report for you. 2 minutes and 17 seconds of Scott.
Hello, this is Scott, and this is the Hyper Report. Here are the quotes for various items. First, swap agreement. The world community continues to distance themselves from the U.S. dollar as the Swiss National Bank and the People's Bank of China reach a currency swap agreement. While this may not be a major turning point, think of it as another step that will lead to the downfall of the dollar. Next, U.S. households. The inflation-adjusted net worth of the typical U.S. household was $87,992 in 2013. 10 years later, it was only $56,335, or a 36% decline. 94% of the U.S. population now have less wealth, while 4% have more. When only a few people are winning and more than half of the population is losing, surely something is amiss. Next, missing gold. Due to a so-called accounting problem, Africa's largest refinery discovered 2.7 tons of gold missing. What is even more interesting is that no one seems to be interested in getting to the bottom of this. Next, fake applicants. The U.S. Government Accountability Office recently conducted a study in which investigators attempted to use fake identities to sign up for Obama-Rec. The results were not surprising in that all but one phony applicant was successful in getting enrolled. In addition, Obama thugs are forcing insurance companies to remain quiet about the fraud that is Obama-Rec. Next, Obama-Rec lie exposed. Obama has repeatedly denied that the surtax is in fact actually a tax. However, a newly released draft of the 2014 IRS form shows a new surtax on line 61 for the individual mandate for Obama-Rec. How do you know when Obama is lying? Whenever he opens his mouth. Speaking of lies. Next, don't blame the Fed. Despite the QE that went to bail out too big for jail banks, the near 0% interest rates and other shenanigans, former Fed Chair Alan Greenspan still insists on blaming the people for the economic and financial havoc. Get this, he actually said that bubbles are a function of human nature. The historical record makes it absolutely clear that Greenspan panicked time and again when speculation reached a fevered peak in financial markets. Instead of allowing the free market to cleanse itself, he and his gang repeatedly flooded Wall Street with liquidity and jawbone speculators into propping up the casino. Next, guillotine. A federal appeals judge in the Ninth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals wants guillotines and firing squads to be used for execution. Of course, with ammo prices, the firing squad option may not be financially sound. In short, time is short and shouts of "off with our heads" will soon be heard. Finally, please prepare now for the escalating economic and social unrest. Good day.
Harkens back slightly to the rail cars with guillotines built in.
Well, if you want to be an organ donor, I think you have to choose firing squad, if I'm not mistaken, because that'd be the only thing that wouldn't harm your organs.
It depends how good the shot is.
Well, and now you can choose the guillotine. Guillotine. That was one of the arguments that they used for it. I read the article, and they were like, well, this will be so more people can be organ donors too. So they'll choose the guillotine. And I'm like, propaganda alert.
I'm sure that's why they choose the guillotine. Yeah, sure, man. Just cut my head off, dude. That's what the Taliban's going to do anyway, right?
It'd be instant.
ISIS. No, I saw the clip on ISIS, man. They were just lining them up in a ditch and shooting them in the back with an AK-47. Did you see that one?
Oh, yeah. Well, there was another one that got dropped today where there was another 8 to 10 of them and all on a city street, and they just, Allah Akbar or whatever, and then just shot them all.
Yeah.
Yep, shot them all. I'm like, what a senseless waste of freaking human life.
It's a zombie apocalypse, brother. These are the demons, the gates of hell.
We are. If you can't see the end of that, we're near the end of times. Everything biblical proportion-wise, I mean, that's just unreal, all the shit that's going on. The Pope resigning should convince a lot of people.
Yeah, that just should have done that a couple years back.
Yeah.
I think it was the ISIS, the IS, Islamic State, or whatever the hell they want to call themselves, the Caliphate, that went into a town recently in like the last week, and I think it was like 50 or 60 Christians. They cut their heads off and put them on pikes around town, like they used to do back in the medieval times.
Yep. Not one word about that. They're still talking about
Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah, they're still talking about a crash that Russia, supplied the missiles for. Even though that story's been discredited, I think pretty soundly, with some pretty convincing evidence. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, the tape between the two dudes talking was complete fabrication, and that's
right.
The U.S. is basing 90% of their beliefs on that shit.
Yeah.
On YouTube videos and social media tweets.
Yep.
That's our evidence against Russia, ladies and gentlemen. That's the almighty United States Intelligence Service. YouTube and Twitter.
And an RT reporter got her to admit that, on during the press briefing.
I don't think that you're talking about the guy.
Yeah,
he's not from RT. He's from.
He's from some other alternative source, though. Because he's hard hitting. I see him a lot.
I thought he was from like the Times or the New York Times or.
I don't know. Whenever I see him, he's on RT though.
Oh yeah. They show his clips all the time because he's the only one that sits there and gives her shit. That actually calls her out.
Yeah, he does.
You have to show some proof. You can't just say because I said so.
Right.
Anyway, we're getting way off topic. Let's jump over here and let Manarino. He's only going to spew for 5 minutes, so we'll let him actually play and not give him any crap.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Greg Manarino.
Hi, Greg.
It is Monday, July 28th, 2014. All right, people, lots of stuff
going on. I can't click on his head no more. He changed his whole... He's got his own little...
and it's funny. It's always the same story. This is
I don't know what
pretty much the
thumbnail
theme of the day.
It's not his head anymore.
Pending home sales, unexpectedly, it's always unexpectedly, fell
down
last month here. People, this just plays into the premise that I've been going over for months upon months upon months here.
This is why
there is no housing recovery. And without a housing recovery, a real meaningful one, there is no economic recovery. And I've gone over the specifics of this countless times. If you follow this blog, you totally get it here. Let me put a perspective on this so people can have a better understanding of this.
Okay.
The Federal Reserve, through, again, their mechanism of suppressing interest rates, has tried to reinflate a housing bubble. They cannot reinflate this bubble. So what we have seen is a reinflating and a now hyperinflating of two things. Debt, which has exploded, and an equity bubble. But that doesn't mean there's going to be an end to this anytime soon. Last week, on Friday specifically, geopolitical events were heating up. I closed all of my positions. I had no idea what would happen over the weekend. But what I think we can take away from all this, and I did cover this, I believe, in Friday's video, is the world central banks are going to continue and actually increase their money printing, bond buying purchases, backdoor stimulus, you name it, it's going to happen. And things that we haven't even thought of yet are going to continue to occur, beyond any shadow of any doubt. We found this out today as well. Apparently the service sector here in the United States is getting stronger. That's a big downer to me as far as I'm concerned. Again, we don't need this kind of
more
thing.
People
we
cleaning
need to
toilets.
make things in our country and export them. Becoming a service economy is not the way to get out of this. And unfortunately, there is no way out, period. That's a fact, in my opinion here.
When they talk about a service, I'm going to stop for just 1 second. When they talk about a service-driven economy, that doesn't mean a bunch of mechanics. That means the food industry, hotel people, and washing sheets and toilets.
Unskilled labor.
Right.
GED,
So basically,
no diploma, no U.S. visa, no U.S. citizenship.
Right. No speaking English.
Right.
the whole thing, people, comes down to this, and it's very simple. We will continue to see further distortion in this market, and I think they're going to get more and more profound. Again, there is none.
You forgot to check out the window.
Meaningful recovery in housing. That's huge, and I can't stress that enough. And despite all of the action of the Fed, they cannot reinflate that bubble. But they have inflated an equity bubble, and that has caused massive capital misallocations and distortions in this market, the likes of which are hard to actually get our heads around. It's very profound. But again, all this means is opportunity, in my opinion here. What I have done now, I have reallocated funds on the long end to 3 positions. Go to my site, traderschoice.net. There's a link right down here in the description of this video. You can see where I'm at right now. And I think this is going to continue as the theme here of further misallocation of capital, further distortions in this market by runaway central banks. It's been pretty much what's been happening for years, but I think it's going to get a lot worse. And we're hearing something else, a couple of things going on here. Let me cover that just real quick. We're hearing out of the White House that they're going to start putting meaningful sanctions this time. This time they're going to be meaningful against Vladimir Putin and Russia, and it's going to be backed up by European nations. Forget about it.
Stupid. Not
going to happen. I want to see what these meaningful sanctions are. In fact, I think they're going to be laughable sanctions. And there's no doubt in my mind that Putin is so many steps ahead of all the Western leaders, including our president, that it's embarrassing. But that's a whole other story. All right. Before I let you all go, I want to cover one thing real quick. I did start an Insta blog on Seeking Alpha. There's a link right down here in the description of this video. I hope you'll join me there.
Probably not. But anyway, one thing I want to talk about when it comes to the market, the volume of shares being traded now is at an all-time low. They don't talk about that very often, but the volume of shares being traded on a daily basis is at an all-time low. Now, I heard on a clip over the weekend someone say that the only money that is left in the stock market is dumb money. Day traders like Mr. Manarino. I'm not casting any stones at you, Greg, but that's what they said. The only money left in the market is dumb money. Anybody like Soros and all the big wigs that got a shitload of change in their pocket, they have pulled their money out, and it is secure. So, and you want to speak to that, Lance, at all?
No. I mean, it's absolutely right.
It's like down to 1.8 billion shares a day traded.
We did the story.
30 and 40 billion shares traded daily.
We did the story that most of the volume was the stocks, companies buying back their own stock that they were selling to give the appearance of a booming market. So once all that runs out and you run through your cycles of that, you can only do it so many times because that money cost you to buy it. You had to borrow it and get interest, everything else.
Yep.
So you can only do it so many times, and that's where we're at. But it's still at 16,009 and change. It's
crazy, stupid.
Crazy manipulation.
Stupid. Nothing but manipulation, folks. That's why I tell you, watch these are the indicators. When you see that stock market start to tumble, that's it. Katie, bar the door, baby. I hope you're ready.
I have a feeling that they thought that whatever catalytic event was going to happen, I think they thought it would have already happened by now, and I think their timing is off, and now they're just struggling to keep it afloat until that big event. Yeah, until that big event that wipes out all the world's debt in the blink of an eye.
It is
They're just
near.
biding their hands.
It is near.
Biding their time.
All right. Let's see. Where do you want to go from? You want to do one of your stories before I play the Watts vid, or?
Let me see if I have one. Oh, Ron Paul.
Oh, yeah.
Say what you want about Ron Paul.
Okay, I will.
But his latest one is coming out. And before, he's had, let's see, in the Federal Reserve, in FEMA, in the TSA, and his latest one, in the CIA.
Oh, God.
Because, for our own safety, in the CIA, the governments are CIA's covert actions across the globe have led to the destruction of countries and societies and unprecedented resentment towards the United States. So say what you want about the guy.
Look at Libya.
But man, I'll tell you.
Iraq.
What about him?
Look at CIA. This is
what
happened, Syria.
Well, you can go back to Cuba. You can go back to the Cuba days.
Yep. When we go into a country and meddle in their government and cause an uprising and then just walk the F away, that's what happens. Now they got all these countries are just falling apart at the seams. Now we got to go back in and help them all out and propping up the dollar. War, baby.
Yeah, I remember reading that the CIA's whole job was to create fear in the American public, to create defense spending to protect the American public from the fears that they're propagating.
Right.
To the American public. So
it's called problem reaction solution, the Hegelian dialectic.
They've done a
fabulous
job.
Yeah.
Fabulous job. Good job, guys.
Kudos, guys.
Good job, guys. Good job, guys.
Golf clap.
Bastards.
No! No!
No more CIA. I'm with Ron Paul on that one. Okay, so you want to do a story?
No.
No? Fine then. I'm going to play this. I know that most of you people out there have heard of the name Alan Watts. He was a very salient individual, and he knew a lot about life and about the way that people were supposed to live. If you listen to my show over the last couple of months, it's been almost 2 years now, you'll know that I'm kind of an eclectic guy. I bounce around a lot. I do a lot of studying of stuff, and I'm trying to better my own person. So this is one of the people that I listen to, and this clip that I'm about to play you was recorded in 1970. I want to reiterate that. It was recorded in 1970.
The year I was born.
Yeah. Listen to this.
I've just come back from Los Angeles. I was down there to meet with a group of rather important people in the movie industry, scientists and so on.
Can you turn it up a bit?
Who were considering calling a congress of the best minds in the world to meet in Los Angeles
right now,
in the near future, to be a kind of planetary alarm conference. They wanted scientists and statesmen, religious leaders, and to do something to impress upon the world through all the media that we are in very serious danger of destroying the biosphere, that is to say, the whole envelope of living creatures which covers this planet, through pollution, overpopulation, nuclear fallout, poisoning of our food, and very lack of food.
This was over 40
years ago.
We
met to discuss the problem of organizing this conference, and here were all these brilliant people. And it came over us that we really didn't know what we ought to say. I mean, you can scream and create a state of panic, but that won't do any good. And when it came down to it, we didn't know what we ought to say because we really don't know what to do. Some things that we might do, for example, to increase the food supply with high-yield crops, may be ecological mistakes. And so the consensus of almost everybody at the meeting was that in some way or other, the human race has to learn how to leave the world alone and let what is called the natural homeostasis, that is the self-balancing process of nature, take care of the mess. Now, how are we going to do that? This is Japanese ceremonial tea. It's good on a cold day. See, our problem is we don't really know how to stop. We've got something started and we see it's going in a wrong direction. And I think the difficulty is, to borrow an old Chinese saying, that when the wrong man uses the right means work in the wrong way. In other words, there's something wrong with the way we think. And while that is there, everything we do will be a mess. Now, what is it that's wrong? Now, as far as I can see, the basic mistake is that we've invented this wonderful system of language and calculation, and that it is at once too simple to deal with the complexity of the world, and also we are liable to confuse that system of symbols with the world itself, just as we confuse, say, money with wealth. A lot of people are in business to make money instead of wealth. When they make the money, they don't know what to do with it. And so in the same way, we confuse happiness with status, and we confuse ourselves as living organisms, which are one with this whole universe, with something we call our personality. Now, what is our personality? Our personality is what we call our image of ourselves, and also our thought about ourselves, our idea of ourselves. This is the person. In other words, what people meet and understand, and what I understand as Alan Watts, is a big act which is not really me. Because in the image of Alan Watts, there are not all my unconscious processes, both psychological and physical. The construction of my brain is not contained in the concept Alan Watts, and the concept Alan Watts does not contain the inseparable relationships which I have with all the rest of the universe. And therefore that concept is a fraud. And when it's mistaken for the real me, there's a confusion. Because if somebody says to me, Alan Watts, do something about it, the concept Alan Watts can't do anything. In other words, because it's only a concept, you can't make it lift a weight, just as 3 is a concept. 3, the number. You can't make just plain 3 do anything. So also you can't wrap up parcels with the equator. It's a useful imaginary line, but it can't do anything. But we all feel that this concept of ourselves, which we call our personality or our ego, can do something. Because we think it really exists. And I'll tell you why we think it exists. What happens when you, if I were to say to you, now look hard at the television screen, really look at it. What do you do as distinct from just watching it in the ordinary way when you say, now I really got to see that? What do? Notice that you tighten muscles all around here, that you frown a little, you clench your teeth perhaps. Now what has that got to do with seeing anything clearly? It has absolutely nothing to do with it. Same thing when you listen carefully. Now listen, catch everything that's said when you start tightening up around your ears. That has nothing to do with hearing clearly. Now from the moment we were little children, when teachers in class screamed at us, pay attention, we go tight in various ways. Either to see or hear more clearly, to concentrate, or to will something which is supposed to be difficult to do. And that constitutes a habitual tension over the whole body that's there almost all the time. And that feeling of unnecessary tension is, as it were, the material sensation upon which we fasten this concept of I. We hang it on to that feeling. The concept is not us. The feeling of tension is completely phony. It has nothing to do with success in seeing, hearing, or acting. And so we get the marriage of an illusion with a falsehood, and that we call ourselves. And no wonder we feel cut off from everything, alienated, frightened of life and death. So what has to happen is we have to come back to a sane view of our own life, which is the way we really are, an organism functioning in terms of the whole environment, with the whole environment, instead of this funny little separate personality. But how are we going to do that? People say, oh, you can't change human nature overnight. You're asking us to give up the ego. And that's the most difficult of all things to do. Actually, it isn't. Because the ego doesn't exist. But of course, if you try to give up your ego with your ego, then it'll take you to the end of time. Because this is the point. You can't transform yourself. You can't make yourself sane. You can't make yourself loving. You can't make yourself unselfish. And yet it's absolutely necessary that we be that way. It's absolutely necessary. If we are going to hand over the direction of nature to nature, which is what it comes to, it's absolutely necessary that we let go of ourselves, and it can't be done. Not by anything that we call doing it, acting, willing, or even just accepting things. You can't do it. Why? Because you don't really exist as that kind of a separate ego or personality. It's just an idea based on a phony feeling. So when it comes down to it, it's shocking news for us, for the human race, for our pride. You're only making a mess by trying to put things straight. You're trying to straighten out a wiggly world, and no wonder you're in trouble. So you can't do anything. So you can't transform yourself. And what can you do? What happens then if you actually realize you've come to a dead end? And the human race has come to a dead end, in my opinion. What then? Commit suicide? Or is there something else? What happens when you just wait? There's nothing you can do. You watch. And all you see is what goes on that is happening of itself. You're breathing. The wind is blowing. The trees are waving. Your blood is circulating. Your nerves are tingling. It's all going on of itself. But you know, that's you. That's the real you. The you that goes on of itself. It's not the symbol. It's not the person. It's you that's happening, as when you breathe. Yes, you can get the feeling that I am breathing by shoving your breath, but your breath goes on day in and day out without your doing anything about it or even thinking of it. The same way your brain is functioning without your forcing it. So when you come to a dead end, and we are individually and socially now in 1971 at a dead end, this is the moment of which it is said man's extremity is God's opportunity. Because we have to stop. And when we stop, we find a world that is happening rather than being done, being shoved. And that happening, as distinct from doing, is our fundamental self. And our fundamental self is not something just inside the skin. It's everything around us with which we connect. When you look out of your eyes at nature happening out there, you're looking at you. I'm not going to say what we should do from then on, but simply that before we think of doing anything in this critical situation, we realize the completely illusory nature of the beings that we think we are. and get back again to the beings that we really are, which includes all this outside world, no longer left outside.
No, Maddie, you got it wrong. Maddie said in the room, apparently I don't even exist. That may put plans or ruin my plans for this evening. That's not what he's saying, Matt. He's saying that what you think you are doesn't exist. We're just a million messy miracles, man. We're a ghost driving a meat-covered skeleton. You know, we got these big egos and these big ideas of who we think we are and what we can do. Only thing we can do is live and love. You know, everything else takes care of itself. When you try to meddle with nature, try to change things, dam rivers, build buildings, try to pave over every square inch of soil, that's the ego that he's talking about. That's what never should have existed. We should have let nature be nature. And instead of trying to command it and rule over it, just be a part of it. That's the way it should have been. At least that's what I got out of it. Lance?
If there wasn't a greed gene, then it would work.
Yeah.
But as long as there's greed on the planet, there's going to be death, there's going to be wars, there's going to be fighting, there's going to be evil. It all comes down to greed. And until you remove greed, you can't have anarchy. You can't have, you know, a self-policing society until you get rid of greed.
That's right. That's exactly right, man. I fully agree with you there. So, on to you. Your story next. I hope people got something out of that video. I dropped it in chat twice. Becky, I think, what her name was? Oh, Bridget. Bridget said, "What the fuck is this shit playing?" You should go click on it, Bridget, and listen to the whole thing, and maybe go check out some more Alan Watts stuff, man. I mean, if you give him about 30 minutes of your time, he will, and I tried to give you 15, close to 15. He can change the way you see everything around you. And sometimes that's a good thing. Lance?
I read a story earlier, and I don't have it up right now, so I'll try to paraphrase as best as I can. People that go barefoot and walk around and touch Mother Earth with their feet, not so much as, you know, more grass and stuff like that, yards. And
it's called earthing.
Earthing. It's called earthing. They're healthier.
Less stress.
Less anxiety. Less stress. Because of the magnetic pull that's at the core of the earth that keeps us all grounded and lets an apple fall out of the tree.
And energy, too. It has to do with energy, too. I don't know if you've ever been standing outside during a thunderstorm in your bare feet, but, you know, if there's a lightning strike close to you, like within 5 or so miles, you can actually feel it through the ground. You can feel the tingle. At least I have in the past a couple, 3 different times, actually. And that's a good sign that you better get your ass inside so you don't get struck by lightning. But you know, that's you draw energy from the earth too. I mean, that's people that I go out in my yard and lay down at least once a week, just lay down on the ground for a little bit and let my bare skin, not naked, but you know what I mean, just in a pair of shorts and t-shirt, and just lay down, let my skin touch the ground for a while. I like gardening now too, more than ever. You know, just to be on your knees and getting your hands down in the soil and stuff. Anyway, I'm rambling. Go ahead with your story. Sorry.
No. I didn't have a true story. I mean, it was just we were talking about exactly that. I mean, you're helping it along. So, I mean, that's what the whole article was about was, you know, go barefoot because your magnetism in your body, you know, reacts with the earth, and it's a recharging and
balance of nature.
Same with long hair. If I'm not mistaken, that's why the Indians had long hair.
That's why Jesus had long hair.
Jesus never existed, but he never walked the earth. But let's see here. Gardner Todd.
Send all your hate mail to Lance.Musser at...
come on, man. There's enough evidence.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Gardner Todd
dropped
this link to me today.
Todd, if you're listening,
on his.
Peace, brother.
And it's about these Gardeners Prevail and the Orlando Turf War.
Yes,
veggies are okay in your front yard, too. Because think about it, and I've seen many articles about this. You know, why are you keeping a green, empty yard?
Don't grow a garden, or don't grow a lawn, grow food.
Yeah, grow food. So at least part of it, half of it, a quarter of it. But, you know, in Miami or
don't
Orlando.
Bitch if somebody walks by your place and snatches a tomato or something either, man. I mean, you know, let them have the fucking thing.
Yeah, let them have it. If they take it, it's not like if you're not growing tomatoes, you don't have too many of them anyway.
Exactly.
Spaghetti sauce or something. But on Monday, this is last Monday, City Council gave approval that would allow vegetable gardens to cover as much as 60% of a home's front yard.
And they passed it so that HOAs can't say shit about it either.
Right. As long as it does have the setback of 3 feet now, and then it does have to be screened with fencing or shrubs. So you do have to hide it from the public yard, but you can have tomato plants that
look at our garden
thing. Well, their first proposal was 25% of the front yard and then 10-foot setback. So, I mean, that wouldn't be hardly any. That would be enough for a salsa garden at the most, in most people's front yards.
Right.
So I thought that was a good one. And then I'm sure everybody saw the story making its round about the Michigan farmer that was forced to dump 248 gallons of milk and break 1,200 eggs.
Yeah, Wendy actually went over that on one of Jewel, before the first cup.
Yeah, it's just, amazing what they're putting there, what our government dollars are going towards.
Can you imagine how many people that would have fed breakfast?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if they were Amish, they wouldn't have done anything to them.
Nope.
But, we never did get to touch on the...
We all got to start wearing homemade clothes if you're going to have a garden. Start wearing homemade clothes and throw away your cell phone. Build a pole barn in your backyard.
If you're married, grow a beard.
Wear a
if you're
funny
not,
hat.
shave every day.
Right, wear a funny hat.
With suspenders.
Say hey a lot. How you doing, eh?
Tell you what, when I go to Indiana, there's this place up in Essen, Indiana, and the place is called Essen House, and it's a Amish German, food. They got the noodles and fried chicken. It's a buffet, family style dining. And I'll tell you what, it is the best food. It's all GMO free. The potatoes are real.
Yesterday,
yeah. Everything is fresh. The pies on the way out, you can see them baking them over in the, ovens right next door. Amish got it right, man. Amish know a little bit of something.
East Central Illinois called Rockome Gardens. Same thing as the Amish community.
Same thing?
Yeah. When you get down around there is when you start seeing the signs that says, watch out for the horse and buggies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and the poo.
Yeah.
You get a bunch of poo on the side of the road.
That's all right. It's just horse shit.
Smells
like money.
Yeah, you can definitely tell when you're coming up on a horse.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, what else you get over there? Anything? Come on.
No, nothing. We didn't get to talk about the flight. Did we see the missing flight again that disappeared? It's Diego Garcia.
Yeah, we got like 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left.
Yeah, we can touch on it briefly.
3 minutes left. Yeah, so we'll get everybody's dander up, and then we'll continue on this on Wednesday because I know people are going to write something in chat about it.
David Ross, Vice News, isn't that the name of his channel?
Yeah.
And Dabu was the first one that actually put it out, and we mocked it. A lot of us did, not me. But then David Voss, who's usually been pretty credible.
It's not Vice News. It's
I can't remember.
Hawkeye Davis, I think, maybe.
Yeah, it's in conjunction with somebody else.
All right. But anyway,
but they threw out some pretty convincing evidence, with the pictures of the plane on the ground and the windows where they were next to the flag. And
we're talking about the Malaysian planes now, everybody.
Right, yeah,
Flight 370 and Flight 17. If you look at the plane that's in pieces on the ground in Ukraine, look at the numbers and the where a couple of the structural features of the plane. And then if you go to planespotters.com and find the planes for Malaysia Airlines, the Flight 17 plane and the 370 plane, the numbers don't match.
Almost every plane is different in some little fashion.
Right. Almost every one of them, yeah. They have some kind of structural difference, than another one that rolls off the assembly line.
Right.
The numbers on the wheel well of the plane on the ground in Ukraine are the numbers off of Flight 370.
They match.
The body design, where the hatch is, and one of the windows was filled in with a plug because there's electronics on the other side of it.
Now
that also matches Flight 370 and not Flight 17.
It's important to note, Jimmy, though, that the original photo that made it with one of the first people that came up
has been doctored.
All the photos that you're seeing on mainstream media and on the internets are the doctored photo, because as soon as they realized their error, they doctored the photo. Because
I think the original one is still on Twitter.
It is.
That's what happened. He tweeted it out. It's still in the archive. So
right, he tweeted it out, and it was an untouched photo that got out immediately before the U.S. or I'm not saying U.S. before some government
shows the window, not the plug.
Exactly.
So
there's a lot of credible evidence out there that's come out in the last 24, 48 hours.
Heads up,
that
people.
Does point to that this was and a lot of people said that the bodies were decomposing. So
yeah.
Cover more on it next week. Or Wednesday.
Let's just keep the story alive. Don't believe the propaganda, everybody. Don't let them lead this planet into World War III. For God's sakes. We can't take it. Stay tuned. More good radio on UCY.tv. Peace, people.